All right, good afternoon. As I see, we have everyone up here. For those who I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is John McKenzie. It's my privilege to host you here today as the CEO of the TMX. And it is my thrill to see so many people in the site today, which I'm pretty sure is beyond our fire code, but we're going to leave that. Because we do have our landlord here as well to take care of it if we're offside. We're thrilled to have you here. Happy to welcome the Premier, Premier Ford, ministers, members of Parliament. Join us here. It's such an honor for the TMX to be able to host this important event. And it's the right place to do it. You know, TMX Group occupies a very unique position in the center of our capital markets as the owner and operator of our historical exchanges, the Toronto Stock Exchange, the Montreal Exchange, and our public venture market, the TSX Venture Exchange. We very much are the heart of the capital markets in Canada. And we have an outstanding track record together of helping visionary entrepreneurs throughout the country and businesses push industries forward and fund game-changing innovations like what we're talking about today. We have a very proud history that dates back to more than 173 years. And many of the companies that helped build this country, the banks, the railways, the telcos, they financed that growth right here at the Toronto Stock Exchange. But Toronto is not just a national financial hub. This is a global hub. Our exchanges are known around the world for the ability to finance growth, from sectors from mining to energy and now to technology and industrials. There are more than 250 companies in the world call Toronto their home from outside of Canada. And some of those companies are represented in the room today, along with institutions from across our broader ecosystem, our universities, our professional associations, our trade associations that nurture the talent, set the standards, and support the community that make our business culture the very best in the world. This collectively is our competitive edge as we work to accelerate Canada's growth and capitalize on leadership opportunities on the world stage as we are today. And with that, it's my pleasure and my honor to turn the podium over to Blake Hutcheson, our master for the day. Blake.
So good afternoon, everyone, and a sincere welcome. My apologies once for the body language looking this way. I'm told we're supposed to pay attention. It's not my habit, by the way, to pay attention to the press, but I have to today. And it is an honor to be the MC today as we officially kick off the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank Toronto bid. I was introduced, more importantly, as the landlord here. I did come to collect my rent check, John, so I hope you're current. And my day job is I'm the CEO of OMERS Pension Plan, one of the Maple 8 that are known around the world. And just a little bit on OMERS. I work for 650,000 hardworking Ontarians that operate out of 444 municipalities. And when we do well, we've averaged about 8.5% in the last 5 years. Our communities do well, and 1 out of 11 households in the province of Ontario benefit from that good work, investing roughly $150 billion of their money on their behalf. And much of our portfolio, before I'm asked, usually from the people behind me, is indeed in Canada and is indeed in Ontario. For example, we own 50% of Bruce Power. It's our largest single investment in the world. We own Terranet, which is Ontario's land registry system. We own 15 office buildings within a few blocks of this one, including this block. They are, by the way, the best 15 in the city, in case anyone needs a tenancy. Cadillac Fairview, I hope you're listening. We own Yorkdale Shopping Centre, Square One, Scarborough Town Centre, a piece of the Raptors, the Leafs, etc. So we are so committed to this province. Increasingly, we feel this province is moving in the right direction, and we want to invest more in this province, and we want to invest more in this country. In my experience, I haven't seen an environment where there are more opportunities, both here and across Canada. And I would even say on this occasion, as the Defence Bank comes our way, we will look very seriously at more defence investment that can benefit the country, can benefit our stakeholders, on a very considered basis as we go forward. Turning to this topic, in my view, the Global Defence Bank, hosted here in Canada, is a game changer for our nation, and appropriate given our congenial and reliable partnership nature, strategic middle power status, and renewed commitment to our defence obligations, global leadership in banking, and pension plan investment, proximity and access to our powerful democratic capitalist friends and allies to the south, and deep skills in finance, manufacturing, AI, technical support, accounting, law, the list goes on, particularly here in Toronto. And as a community, we have a massive competitive advantage, in my view, and an opportunity, so let's try to translate this dream into reality. I won't say anything more. You're going to hear from a lot of great Ontarians and Canadians. 5 distinguished speakers will address this topic better than I can. There were no dress rehearsals, so you may be as surprised what comes out of this collective as I am. But I have a feeling that you're in for an important and historic message today at a critical time for Canada, for Ontario, and indeed Toronto. Our first speaker is Rod Phillips, Toronto Global Board Chair. He is a great Canadian business mind, community leader, and former politician. In addition to his role at Toronto Global, he's Vice Chair of Canaccord Genuity and serves on the board of Acon Group and Petal Health. In 2018, he was elected as an MPP to represent Ajax and served ably as Ontario's Minister of Finance, Long-Term Care, and the Environment, Conservation and Parks. And if everybody would please welcome Rod Phillips.
Thanks very much, Blake, and I can speak to the quality of the real estate. It's nice not to be a politician now, so I can pick teams. Premier Ford, Minister Bethlenfalvy, Mayor Chow, Chair Dzerowicz, Kevin Reid, President of the Defence and Security Resilience Bank, distinguished guests, including 2 of my former cabinet colleagues, Minister Lecce and Minister Rickford, friends, business, labour, academic leaders, members of the defence community. We really appreciate you being here with us today. John, thank you for hosting us with your team here today, here at the heart of the Business and Finance Centre of Canada and one of the leading financial centres in the world, the TSX, which is right here in the GTA and right here in Toronto. And that is really the point. Our security environment is changing quickly. Democracies are modernizing, hardening critical infrastructure, and responding to cyber threats while supply chains remain under pressure. In that context, finance is not a back-office function. It is a strategic capability. Now, as a recognized global financial centre, we know that and we live that every day in Toronto. And that's why, as the Chair of Toronto Global, I'm very proud to stand with our partners, the Government of Ontario and the City of Toronto, as we launch our bid to host the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank. Now, the DSRB is being designed as a multilateral lender modeled on other global development banks, but focused on defence, security and resilience. It will mobilize public and private capital, providing long-term credit and liquidity to suppliers of all sizes, and make multinational procurement faster and more predictable. Now, we should be very clear about one thing. For Toronto, Ontario and Canada, hosting the DSRB would be transformative. It will create thousands of high-paying jobs in security, finance and technology, while strengthening the ecosystem of companies and researchers building the technologies that keep our world safe. And Toronto is the right place for this institution to launch with immediate credibility. A bank like this depends on deep capital markets, trusted links to other financial capitals, sophisticated institutional investors, and a stable, rules-based environment. Toronto is Canada's financial capital and a leading financial centre in North America. Home to all 5 of Canada's major banks, more than 40 foreign banks, our major pension funds and insurance companies, all of whom are very well represented at the most senior levels here with us today. Across the Toronto region and in the broader Ontario corridor, we see leaders in aerospace, AI, cybersecurity, quantum, robotics and advanced manufacturing. Toronto is connected, and Toronto is also connected to the world. Pearson Airport offers direct access to 200 destinations, and our 107 consular missions make the city a natural place to convene allies, investors, and partners. Toronto is recognized internationally for its cultural, religious, and linguistic diversity and tolerance, the ideal home in this country for a vital global defense institution like the Defense, Security, and Resilience Bank. Now, I'm very optimistic that with all the work of this team, all the people in the room and the teams behind us, and under the leadership of our Premier, his team, and the Mayor and her team, we will make the point that Toronto is the best choice for Canada to secure this important asset. At Toronto Global, we help the GTA win world-class investments, and we are ready to support this bid and ready to welcome the DSRB to Toronto. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rod. And our next speaker is Julie Dzerowicz, Liberal MP from the riding of Davenport, who's been elected, impressively, 4 times, commencing in 2015. She is a member and the Vice President of NATO Parliamentary Assembly. Since 2025, she's also served as the Chair of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration. She's also the elected Chair of the Toronto Caucus of Liberal MPs. And is no stranger to banks, by the way. She spent 20 years on Bay Street working with a few of our nation's banks in very senior roles and is very, very supportive of this initiative. Thank you for coming from Ottawa, Julie, and being with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and I want to thank everyone for joining us here at the TMX Group, the heart of Canada's capital markets. It is really nice to be back on Bay Street. As mentioned, I'm Julie Dzerowicz. I'm the Member of Parliament for Davenport, Chair of Toronto Caucus representing 23 federal Liberal MPs, and I'm also the Chair of the Canada-NATO Parliamentary Group, in addition to being the Vice Chair of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. I do want to recognize a number of my colleagues who are in this room, and so I want to just give out a shout out to Chi Nguyen, MP for Spadina Fort York, James Maloney, MP for Etobicoke Lakeshore, Maggie Chi, MP for Don Valley North, Karim Bardizi, MP for Tai Akan, Parkdale High Park, Shima Akan, MP for Oakville North, and Ali Ihassi, the MP for Willowdale. While I only mentioned a subgroup of the 23 members, I want everybody to know that we are fully supportive of this very important initiative that we're talking about today. It's a real honor to stand alongside Premier Ford and Mayor Chow and all of the business and Indigenous leaders that we have here on stage. And I'm here to make a very bold statement. Toronto should be home of the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank. Before I entered politics, and this was mentioned, I spent almost 20 years on Bay Street. I did investment banking, as well as worked in the biotech sector. My last job was at the Bank of Montreal, and I was part of the team that helped launch Canada's email money transfer service, the kind of innovation that puts Canadian banking on the global map. And that experience gave me a tiny taste of what it takes to build something transformational. And the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank is exactly that kind of once-in-a-generation opportunity. So why does this bank matter? You know, as mentioned, and we are all reading this in our news, the geopolitical landscape is shifting rapidly and unpredictably. The NATO alliance faces threats evolving faster than at any point since the Cold War. We must act with urgency, not because the cost of delay is measured in security, not just dollars. And NATO, as we all have heard, is committed to investing 5% of GDP in defense by 2035, so that all 32 NATO countries, including Canada, are working to turbocharge our defense spending. And this means mobilizing hundreds of billions of dollars, and we need diverse sources of capital to do it. Here's the challenge. Private sector capital has been largely absent from defense for decades. The Defence, Security and Resilience Bank is designed to close that gap. Our goal of raising defense spending to 5% by 2035 represents one of the most ambitious industrial undertaking in Canadian history. And with Canada's goal to retaining 75 cents of every defense dollar in Canada, this is not only a national security imperative, but a generational economic opportunity. We have on stage here, we have the president of the Defence, Security, Resilience Bank Development Group, Kevin Reid, here, and he actually presented to our parliamentary committee on industry a month ago. And one of the things he says was, this is Canada's time to lead in NATO and with our allies in defence finance. And I couldn't agree more. So why Toronto? And I know the mayor is going to get into this a little bit more. Toronto's North America's second largest financial centre. All 5 big banks are headquartered here, holding over $2 trillion in assets. Canada's banking system has been ranked among the world's soundest for more than a decade. Toronto offers unmatched global connectivity. Pearson serves nearly 200 destinations. We're home to 107 consular missions and more than 190 languages. We have the workforce, the infrastructure, and the international reach a global institution like the DSRB requires. So what does this mean for Canadians? Hosting the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank in Toronto could create over 3,500 high-value jobs and position Canada as the global hub where member nations convene, elevating Toronto to the same tier as London, New York. As Prime Minister Carney said, if we want a more secure world, we need a stronger Canada. The Defence, Security and Resilience Bank will choose its headquarters in the coming months. Canada has a choice: participate or lead. I believe Canada should lead, and I believe Toronto's ready. Thank you.
Our next speaker needs no introduction. Was a member of Metro Council, member of City Council, 8 years as a dedicated MP, community activist, published author, and a fierce advocate for Toronto and the prosperity thereof. Please welcome Toronto's 66th Mayor, Olivia Chow.
Thank you, Blake. I am pleased to join Premier Ford, Minister Bethlenfalvy, MP Dzerowicz, Rod Phillips, Blake Hutcheson of OMERS, of course, our host and representative of TMX, and distinguished guests from the finance and the business and the education community. When I heard Canada was being considered for this bank, I thought there's no better location than Canada's financial capital, the beating heart of our country's financial industry, right here in Toronto. It is a natural fit. We're the nation's banking headquarters. All of the big 5 banks have their headquarters here, along with major pension funds like OMERS, and I wouldn't mention others. Yes, and numerous international financial institutions. Toronto is the 2nd largest financial center in North America by number of jobs and skilled workers. Our talent pipeline is exceptional. Toronto's diversity of talent is unmatched. People from around the world come here, bring their skills, their expertise, and their experience, and their connection, and they attend the world-class colleges and universities located right here in this city. In fact, all the presidents are right here also today. The result is a prospering workshop ready to support the DSRB with specialized skills in areas such as risk, structured finance, AI, cybersecurity, data, and policy. If Canada is pursuing this bank, locating it right here in Toronto is a generational economic and strategic opportunity, not just for the city, but for Ontario and for Canada. The Toronto headquarters, connected to a national network, make sure that workers, firms, and our financial sector across the country benefit from this global institution. This bank would bring the world to our city. It would elevate Toronto's profile on the world stage and demonstrate Canada's leadership in our increasingly uncertain world. Among Canadian cities, Toronto gives Canada its best chance to succeed. We have all the right conditions here for success. I'm pleased to support this bid alongside my colleagues from the province and the provincial and the federal governments. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is the MPP from Pickering-Uxbridge, Peter Bethlenfalvy. I've watched Peter go for many decades now. He had a very successful career, was at one time president and CEO of TD Securities, also co-president of the bond rating agency DBRS, He became an MPP in 2018 and was immediately rewarded as President of the Treasury Board. In 2020, he became the Minister of Finance and has navigated our provincial ship unflappably and well through some rocky and turbulent waters ever since. Please help welcome Minister Bethlenfalvy.
Well, thank you. Thank you, merci beaucoup. Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Great job, Blake. You're doing a fantastic job, and you're the owner of this building, so I'm going to be nice to you just for now. John McKenzie at TMX, there you are. This is the largest stock exchange in Canada, but it's also the third largest stock exchange in North America. This is a global stock environment for companies to grow and prosper. Rod Phillips, where you're there, chair of Toronto Global, so many more things than that. A great and trusted colleague when he was in caucus and cabinet. Thank you for your leadership on this great initiative. Julie Dzerowicz, thank you for coming here, leading the charge, being the caucus chair for Toronto, but you do so much more, and with your background, remarkable. And it's great to stand here. If you think about, forget about party lines, you're wearing blue, that's good. I don't see any red over there, and I'm wearing blue, but I think this is not a partisan effort, and this proves that with the support of the federal government, the support of our great mayor, this is a Team Ontario approach. And of course, Blake will introduce the great Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, who is actually the champion here, pitching Toronto. You'll hear from him in a second, and for not just Ontario, but for all of Canada. I want to thank Giles Gerson, who couldn't be here today. He made sure that I gave him a shout-out from the Toronto Regional Board of Trade, and he's worked tirelessly to promote Toronto as a world-class destination. I want to also recognize my colleagues who are here, Mr. Lecce, Mr. Quinn, and Mr. Rickford. Folks, these folks are working around the clock as well to build Ontario and make Canada the great nation that it is. I thank them for their friendship and their work tirelessly. You know, Toronto, Ontario, Canada must and will have the home headquarters for the Defence, Security and Resilience Bank because it's an imperative. Around the globe, countries are adapting to new geopolitical risks and economic realities. And Ontario, Canada's industrial and financial heartland, is not immune to these shifting times. The world has changed. Time and time again, our province has faced moments of change, and we've always emerged stronger. With demand rising for advanced technologies, secure supply chains, and resilient industries such as defence, Ontario is faced with a once-in-a-generation, I'll go even further, in a multiple-generation opportunity to strengthen our economy, build our industries, and ensure our province continues to lead at a time of global change. And thanks to our government's plan to protect Ontario, our province is uniquely positioned to meet the head-on needs of the global community. Et grâce à notre plan pour protéger l'Ontario, notre province dispose d'atouts uniques pour répondre aux besoins de l'économie mondiale. As the capital of our great province and one of the largest cities in the world, Toronto presents unparalleled opportunities to deepen Ontario and Canada's global connections, help attract new investments, and create even more opportunities for financial collaboration and innovation. We are at the heart of a global financial network, one that is increasingly focused on financing the high-growth industries of tomorrow. And Toronto combines Canada's largest finance sector and tech workforce with our global leadership in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and advanced manufacturing to shape the future of global finance and technology and redefine what's possible in economic leadership. And only by working together, being bold, and having a vision can we prepare our nation's economy for growth and global competition. Because when we invest in industries that strengthen our resilience, we're not just investing in today, we're protecting long-term prosperity for all of us. And that's what this announcement is about. Working together with the many, I mean, if you could see to my right, literally a couple hundred of the who's who of Team Ontario who are working day in, day out, and all their teams and all the workers across Ontario to build a stronger, more competitive, and more resilient economy. one that can stand tall at a time of global change and continue to be one of the best places to invest, create jobs, and do business. Our plan is about protecting Ontario's future. Notre plan a pour but de protéger l'avenir de l'Ontario, and today's announcement fits squarely within that work. Can you tell that I'm excited? I'm very excited. Thank you very much.
So our final speaker comes from a family, and I think, Minister, you used the word multi-generational, who has, in multi-generations, enriched the fabric of the city and the province through tireless elected office, frankly, for now 3 generations, and I think counting. I won't give him any more introduction than that, but please welcome Ontario's 26th Premier, Doug Ford.
Appreciate it. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. You know, I've done a lot of talks and speeches over the last close to 8 years. I've never seen a room that is a powerhouse like this room. And I was just calculating in my head, probably over 1 million employees that collectively, that each and every one of you employ. And thank you, Blake, for that introduction and being a champion for Ontario and Canada. And thank you for shamelessly promoting OMERS. You have, you know, and there's other great pension funds, but Blake has told me he's going to continue investing into Ontario like they never have before. So thank you for allocating another 50% at least. And thank you. I love when I speak after Blake and then he can't come back. But I also want to thank John and the TMX for hosting us today. What a great backdrop, and thank you for that, John. It's great to be here alongside Minister Bethlenfalvy. Nothing's better than having 2 finance ministers in the room, my former finance minister and my existing finance minister. And nothing else is better than when the screen goes blank on you and you have to ad lib. And that's happened before. Now, as my colleagues know, as soon as I start adding lib, we're all in big trouble. So, anyways, we also have Ministers Bethlenfalvy, Quinn, Rickford, Sakaria, and Lecce. They all have very important portfolios. Mayor Chow, thank you. I appreciate our partnership, how quickly we can get together. Julie, we heard from you. On a moment of a quick phone call a few days ago, when I called Julie and I called a couple of her colleagues, everything pulled together. And that's why I always say, I don't care about political stripes. When it comes to protecting Ontario, protecting Canada, we're all Team Canada as a group. So thank you, Julie. I want to thank Rod. Rod, you're an absolute champion. He really is. Super smart business person and head of or chair of Toronto Global. And you've come together real quick. So thank you so much. And of course, Kevin Reed, the CEO of the bank. Thank you for your leadership. True Canadian, lives here in Toronto, which is absolutely fabulous. A patriotic Canadian who's done so much to build our province and our country, and thank you for your service. I also want to acknowledge another patriotic Canadian, General Rick Hillier. He's my champion. When we needed someone to lead us through COVID, who did I call? I called the General, and thank God, as soon as I called him at home, his wife answered. And I talked to his lovely, beautiful wife, Mrs. Hillier, and the story goes, she handed the phone over and then told him, you have to serve the province and the country, which he has been his whole life. So thank you, General. Along with our fantastic, hardworking Secretary of Cabinet. You know, folks, we're out in front, right? We have all the ministers and we get up here, but there's one person that keeps the machinery going, runs the OPS, and does an incredible job, is Michelle D'Emmanuel. Michelle, thank you for everything you do for the people of Ontario. Now, there's a couple great people that are out always selling Ontario, selling Toronto. And I want to acknowledge Minister Vic Fideli that flies around the world and always promoting Ontario, and Councillor Shelley Carroll. Mayor, I understand she's over in Europe selling Toronto as well, and selling, making sure that we get this bank, who couldn't be here today, but who are absolute champions in creating jobs in Toronto and in Ontario. And of course, thank you for everyone that is here in this room. I wish I could list off a list of every single person. When they showed me the list, and we put this together in less than a week, the names and the companies are staggering, absolutely staggering. I think we've covered every single sector, and I just want to thank each and every one of them for coming out in support of this event. We're here today to launch Toronto's bid to host the new Defence, Security and Resilience Bank. This bank is being launched at a time when Canada, along with our allies, faces a level of global uncertainty and instability that we haven't seen since the Second World War. In the face of the uncertainty that we're facing, our allies are investing to defend our democracies and protect our way of life. Here in Canada, the federal government is increasing defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035. I want to acknowledge the Prime Minister. I'm going to be heading up there tomorrow to speak to him, but I just want to thank them. They're doing a great job in very, very difficult times. And I also want to acknowledge all the government MPs, as I did earlier, Julie, who have joined us today in a moment's notice, and welcome their support for Toronto's bid. Thank you for standing with us. Because together, we need to stand up for Canada and our place in the world, including by investing in our defence. As we do so, we need to be using Canadian steel, Canadian vehicles, Canadian equipment, and Canadian products whenever and wherever we can. The Defence, Security and Resilience Bank is going to be critical for Canada and our allies. As we make these investments, it will unlock capital, speed up procurement, and streamline supply chain. We're going to work together to cut the red tape and regulations to make sure things happen faster, quicker, immediate. And of course, it will bring major benefits to whichever country is selected, and hopefully it's ours, to host its headquarters. That includes 3,500 direct jobs once the bank is up and running, as well as thousands and thousands of more indirect jobs. The bank's host city will immediately become the global capital of defense, innovation, and finance. It will be a hub for hundreds of new and existing businesses. Folks, we have over 300 defense companies right here in Ontario and support thousands of good-paying local jobs. We know there's a fierce global competition to host the bank. If we want Canada to be selected as the host, we need to put forward the strongest possible candidate, and that candidate is Toronto. Toronto and Ontario have everything the bank needs to succeed. And I can see that here, right in this room, which is an absolute powerhouse of companies and people. We have representatives from our banking and financial service sectors, which is the largest in Canada and second largest in all of North America. We have representatives from pension funds, and you've heard all about OMERS already for about 10 minutes, and other pension funds as well, largest accounting firms in the entire country, largest law firms in the entire country, largest telecommunications companies and transportation companies in the entire country, some of the largest in the entire world. We have partners from First Nations communities, and I want to recognize a good friend of mine. She's my champion. That's Grand Chief Linda. I don't know, Linda, where are you there? Oh, there you are, right there. Okay. Okay. I got a call from Linda, and I don't think you mind me saying that your son is our hero. He's part of our Canadian military. The other night, he went to help some people. He was in full uniform, and they attacked them and stabbed them. So I just want to say our prayers are with them, our thoughts, and we're so proud of them too. So thank you, Linda. We have decades of experience in manufacturing and growing defense research and manufacturing sector that will support the bank's mission. We have our thriving tech sector, which is the second largest on the continent. We have incredible work class. We have the best universities, and a lot of them are right here, universities and colleges, including some of the top research institutions on the entire planet. We have unmatched global connections with the largest airport in Canada, and I saw the Commander-in-Chief here, Deborah, you're over there somewhere, and Deborah's building, and she's doing a great job over at Pearson, and she's building, and she's promising me she's going to use as much as she can Ontario and Canadian products. Right, Deborah? Right. Okay, so serving hundreds of destinations, including the major American cities like New York and Washington, D.C., we have more than 107 consular offices right here in Greater Toronto area, including many of the allies that are supporting the bank. And we're known across the globe as one of the most welcoming, diverse, politically stable places on the planet, with more than 110 nationalities and nearly 200 languages represented right here in the region. But above all, we have a world-class workforce. So I know when Shelley's out there and Vic's traveling around the world and he comes back, the #1 selling feature are the quality of the people. We have the talent that no one else has in the entire world. We're graduating over 85,000 STEM graduates every single year out of our incredible universities and colleges. So thank you for the leadership that's here today. That is second to none, and that can support the bank's mission from day one. When I look around this room and I see the incredible support Toronto's bid has from every part of the province, and I know we have everything we need right here to make the bank a success. But to win that opportunity, we need everybody in this room and across the province coming together as Team Ontario and Team Canada to support Toronto's bid. For our part, the province will do everything we can. We've already begun the process of finding office space that could be an interim home for the bank, and we will also work with the bank to find a permanent home here in Toronto. Imagine this, Mayor. World-class, brand new building that 48 countries from all over the world will be there, and then all the defense companies surrounding it. It will be spectacular, and together we'll make sure it's spectacular. Let's be clear, the benefits of the bank won't just be felt in one city or one province. If Toronto is selected as the host city, every part of the country will be better off. That includes our national capital in Ottawa, which has its own booming tech and defense sectors, which our government is so proud to support. And I just got off the phone with Mayor Sutcliffe in Ottawa and mayors across the province to secure these benefits and investments across Ontario. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for all of Canada. As Canadians, let's come together to support Toronto's bid so we can protect our workers, our country, and our allies. Let's get it done. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Canada. Thank you so much. I didn't think you had the last word. Oh, boy.
He didn't think I had the last word. And notwithstanding what you may hear, Premier, that wasn't the landlord that turned off your screen this time. We actually called a little bit of an audible. We do, because we have Kevin Reid here, who is a great Canadian, by the way, and been given an opportunity to stand this bank up in this country. With his permission, if you wouldn't mind your indulgence, we'll just walk him on to say a few words, and then we'll open it up for Q&A.
Thank you, Blake. It's hard to come after the Premier. Not sure exactly how I position this, but thank you. Premier, ministers, MPs, MPPs, Mayor Chow. executives from industry, and executives from our academic profession. Thanks to John, the CEO of TSX. You summed it up very well. This is the foundation of our capital formation for Canada. And so 170 plus years of history embedded in this institution. I might highlight a couple things here, John. I was a co-founder of Equity Transfer and Trust Company. I was invited in 2005 to open the TSX, as was our team. And I'm holding my 8-month-old daughter as they count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I'm getting ready to press the button, and she beat me to it. And so I think, John, she's still the youngest person ever to open the TSX, and she's 20 now. So anyways, I would also say that, as you know, we sold the Equity Transfer Trust to the TMX and TSX Trust Company. I want to call out Louisa Roberto. I'm not sure if she's still here, but she was our first employee at Equity Transfer and Trust many, many years ago, and she's still here, part of the senior leadership team. So I'm not sure if Louisa's still here, but Louisa, there she is in the back. I'd like to call her out. Great Canadian. And you know, John, just staying on the TSX, you were kind enough to open in June of 2024 to us, the co-founders of Heroes Among Us, which we told, I should say June of 2024, we told these amazing stories of Canadian military heroism, Star of Military Valor winners, 10-part series, most covered story of military since the end of World War II. And we were lucky enough to open the TSX with Ron McLean, Rick Hillier, and our warriors. And I just want to say that thank you, because I'm still here, John. I'm here today. So, Premier, I understand what you mean by this when these things go black. So let me just now say, history will view 2025 as the year that our allied capital markets and banks swung full force supporting defense and security. The ESG policies that drove the restrictions have been and are being rewritten this year in real time. June of 2025, this year at NATO, we saw member nations commit to a 5% of our GDP spending level. This means for NATO moving from $1.6 trillion a year to $4 trillion a year by 2035. Think about that. For Canada, that means moving from $30 billion, roughly, a year to $150 billion. Now really think about what that means for our country. I would also like to say, as we started down this path with DSRB earlier this year, we organized our founding banking partners. I'd like to recognize some of them, I believe, are here today. RBC Canada, JP Morgan, Natixis, and LBBW, who I believe are here today. We also had in August, as part of the original banking group, ING, Deutsche Bank, and Commerce Bank. And I will say, very soon you're going to hear more about our other banks who are coming around this initiative. The DSRB will be owned by member nations as a multilateral bank, built on the similar foundations that you would see with the World Bank, except for this will be the first multilateral bank that's focused entirely on defense, security, and resilience. We expect at least 40 like-minded countries who will become shareholders in bridging between the Atlantic and Pacific as nations. The bank, when fully operationalized, will have $100 billion of equity, AAA rated, we hope, raising another $500 to $600 billion of private sector capital money in the debt markets. The main function of the bank will have a lot of different layers to it. So if Canada as a nation would like to borrow directly from this bank, it's outside the budgeting cycle for a naval port in the Arctic, it could do that, as would other member nations. Most importantly, and if anyone works in the defense category and is in the supply chain, they'll understand this, the credit guarantee system that we will layer over the commercial banks in our member nations will allow for not only access to credit, but credit that can flow easier, faster, and smoother, deeper into those supply chains and earlier stage companies than exist today. And this will be one of the key hallmarks of expanding our industrial defense base. So the country and the city that becomes host to this bank, I think we heard it today from everyone who's here with me, we would see at least 3,500 jobs, but this is just the tip of the cherry on top, in my view. Nowhere in the world is there a defense finance capital with deep expertise, because in the last post-Cold War, the last 15 years, ESG has just prohibited financing from both capital and credit. So as we think about the ecosystem that will build around this bank, if it lands here, with private equity and venture capital, I would also say to Minister Bethlenfalvy, who used to be at Dominion Bond Rating Service, so perhaps in that innovation that I heard earlier about, the creation of a defense bond market with deep currencies and different structures and another innovative product. I would say Natixis, who I believe is here today, they did the first defense bond fund in August, Eurobond fund, $750 million. And I think the opportunities that will come naturally with this bank located here in Canada and here in our here in the Capital Markets Centre, I think the ingenuity will spin multiple times over. I would like to thank the Premier for seeing the opportunity that the DSRB presents to Ontario and pulling the full weight and resources of his government. As he highlighted just a few days ago, we met last week, and we see everybody here today. This is really special, guys. Lastly, I'd like to thank Prime Minister Carney for his team and having the courage to commit Canada to the 5% spending level, and for making Canada relevant again with our allies. And I see this in every country I go to. Canada's back, and that's nice to see. Last week, I started to hear about this from our colleagues in NATO. There's a little saying going around that NATO is becoming Canadianized, and I think that's pretty cool. Thank you.
We will now take questions from the media. Media present can line up behind me and ask their questions through the microphone. As a friendly reminder, the format is one question and one follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet before your question.
Hi, Marion Birubé from Radio-Canada. My question is for Premier Ford. Ottawa also expressed its interest in hosting the bank. As the Premier of Ontario, what do you have to say to some people of Ottawa who might be disappointed to see you support Toronto instead of the region of Ottawa?
Well, I had a great conversation with Mayor Sutcliffe. I'm going to be up there paying a visit tomorrow. It's going to benefit Ottawa. They have a great tech sector, over 700 companies in Ottawa, and everyone's going to benefit. It's not just about Toronto, it's about everyone in Ontario and across the country benefiting if we're able to land this bank.
Thank you. And my other question is for Minister Bethlenfalvy in French. If you could answer in French, so I'll ask it. En fait, la banque, il y a bien des Canadiens aujourd'hui qui ont peut-être jamais entendu parler de cette banque-là auparavant. C'est quoi vos arguments, disons, pour concrètement, qu'est-ce que ça va changer dans la vie des Canadiens, le fait d'avoir cette banque-là à Toronto, mis à part les emplois, disons que je pense que c'est difficile un peu de rallier les gens à un projet que la plupart ont peut-être jamais entendu parler aujourd'hui. Donc, comment ça peut, quel impact ça peut avoir dans leur vie de tous les jours?
C'est une occasion, une opportunité incroyable pour les travailleurs, les travailleuses ici, pas seulement en Ontario, mais partout, tout le Canada. Il y a beaucoup des emplois dans comme des choses dans la technologie, dans les processus pour manufacturing. Il y a beaucoup de travail, pas seulement pour les banques, soit que parmi tous les emplois, il y a beaucoup d'un écosystème ici, pas seulement à Toronto, mais parmi tout Ontario, mais aussi partout le Canada. Alors, ça, c'est la meilleure place pour le headquarters ici à Toronto, mais ça va augmenter tous les emplois partout au Canada.
Maybe in English, I ask, how can this change the life of Canadians, this bank, concretely? So if you can answer too.
This is an incredible opportunity, not just for Toronto, and the headquarters absolutely should be. I think it's very clear, Premier, you made the case phenomenally. The Prime Minister has been a great supporter of putting this bank in Canada. This is not just an opportunity for the bankers and the ecosystem, the accountants, the lawyers, the consulting firms, IT, risk managers, cybersecurity, but for manufacturing jobs right across the province and right across the country. This isn't just about Toronto. This is about the whole country. And I think this is, as was I think well put by many of our colleagues here today, an opportunity for Canada to regain its place as a full-throated member of NATO, to do our part, and much like we did during World War II and beyond, that this will create opportunities. And the academic folks who are here too, they're a big part of it. So it's right through the whole chain of academia to our talent, to our capital, financial capital, right here in Toronto, to jobs right across Ontario and Canada.
Hi, Pippa Norman from the Globe and Mail. Premier Ford, I have a question for you from my colleagues about tomorrow's announcement with the Prime Minister about fast-tracking projects. Does this mean that Ontario will no longer need to use its new powers to designate the road to the Ring of Fire a special economic zone?
Well, we're working very closely, and you saw the last few announcements with our good friends in the First Nations community. And again, I want to thank Linda. I know you aren't as far as that, but you represent the largest First Nations community in the entire country. This is about bringing them prosperity, bringing Ontario prosperity, making sure that we work with the communities up there. And I'm going to pass it over to my Minister, Greg Rickford. He's leading the charge. He's done an incredible job. And Minister and Linda, you're both welcome to say a few words.
Well, as Grand Chief whispered in my ears, this is about partnerships, but the agreements that we have put together over the last year have only been challenged by obligations to duplicative or redundant or additional regulations that the Ontario government, especially as the environmental assessments are being led by First Nations, have been confronted with. In short, it became very clear as full partners with First Nations that some effort had to be made to streamline these, that to live up to one project, one approval, a process that would facilitate and support work by First Nations in the environmental space and the development of world-class legacy infrastructure to access the Ring of Fire. These are common interests held by the First Nations communities and the province. It's good public policy. It need not be smothered in regulatory processes that just serve to make the development of this infrastructure and the penultimate goal of bringing the world its critical minerals longer than it should.
That's all. Thank you.
Hi, folks. Sean Jeffords from CBC Toronto. A question for MP DeBruzen, actually, about the Dzerowicz. The criteria here that is being used today. How is the federal government going to be deciding between Montreal and Toronto?
I think that's a question for our Prime Minister. So as Chair of Toronto Caucus, I'm here to advocate for Toronto. And I also believe that this is Canada's moment to lead on defence finance, and I believe that Toronto's uniquely positioned to win this bid. So that's what I would say to you. I do think ultimately, if Canada's selected as the country, I'm promoting Toronto, but it is the Prime Minister's decision. Thank you.
Also, could you give us a sense of the timeline of when this decision will be made in Canada, but also more broadly internationally?
I'm going to actually ask Kevin to come in and answer, so I think he's got a more specific answer than I do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So as we move into the next phase of the stand-up of the bank, it's going to be charter negotiations that we expect to start in early 2026. There will be about 12 anchor nations that are forming to negotiate the charter, the treaties, the governance, the capital structure, what will qualify for other nations that will want to join as shareholders. And in that negotiation will also be which country will be the headquarters for the bank. I would say that the anchoring nations that are forming today, and given our Prime Minister's understanding of capital markets and finance, which is unlike any other world leader at this moment in time, Canada's viewed very, very much like the honest banker. And so whether it be the Indo-Pacific countries or the European countries, and including the U.S., we were viewed very favorably to take the lead on this. We do have to win that vote, but I expect that at this moment in time, we're in a great spot And it's obvious the turnout by the business community and academic community is full throttle for the Prime Minister. So we would expect to see that in first quarter of 2026.
Hi, good afternoon. Colin DeMello from Global News. A question for the Premier and the Mayor on the location. Premier, you had mentioned that this might require a rather large footprint and that you'd already identified certain locations. How big is this facility going to have to be, and where maybe generally in Toronto would this go?
Well, just going through our real estate experts, and one of the great experts is Blake here, is guessing roughly about 500,000 square feet. And obviously, we're going to go vertical. But we'll be working with the mayor, like we always do, and find a great location that's going to be forefront. So when people come into the city, they're going to see something spectacular. We're going to have to, if we're fortunate enough to win, house these people somewhere downtown in one of these beautiful buildings until we build the new site. But it's going to be out of this world.
The Mayor could touch on that as well, in the location, and whether Toronto can host something this big.
Absolutely. Toronto is the financial capital. We have the space, we have the talent, and we have locations. So working together with the province and the federal government and to various pension funds, I am sure we could locate any number of perhaps existing buildings or build new ones.
And to the Premier, you had mentioned that other manufacturers might want to be in close proximity. Does that mean defense manufacturing in downtown Toronto or somewhere in the greater Toronto area? And could you use some of the manufacturing facilities that might be downsizing, as an example, for some of these projects specifically?
I think this is a great opportunity for all defense manufacturers around the world, not just the 300 that we have here in Ontario, but I'm sure they're going to want an office close by. Their manufacturing facilities will more than likely be in the suburbs or spread out throughout Ontario, spread out through the entire country. But this is a massive opportunity. The way I describe this, folks, you know, cities go out for Olympic bids. I say this is anywhere from 5 to 10 Olympic bids, because the Olympics come along, everything's done, then they leave. This bank will be here hopefully for decades to come, generating more opportunities and more jobs for Canadians right across the country.
Hi, Premier. Alison Jones with the Canadian Press. Back to the cooperation agreement tomorrow. Is this going to be the last piece of the puzzle that you need to get the road to the Ring of Fire built?
I believe so, but we're always in consultation with the leadership of the First Nations up north, and with Martin Falls, Webequie, Arrowland. We've signed great agreements, and they're really, really excited. And I was just on the call for their Christmas party in Martin Falls, and what stood out to me when the chief, we met, and they had a meeting about the road, and for the first time he said all the young people showed up, because they were stuck in that area. The road opens up 6 to 8 weeks every single year. This will give them the opportunity to maybe go down to Thunder Bay and go for a drive, or drive everywhere, rather than having a fly-in community. But we're there to supporting, make sure they prosper, make sure we train until when we're building the community center, the hockey arenas, the infrastructure, it's going to be people within their community that are going to do that. So I'm really excited for the opportunity for all our First Nations communities, but also opportunities for Ontario, and diversify our trading partners around the world, and we don't have to rely on President Trump all the time.
And are there other projects that you have in mind that you're hoping this agreement will help enable or speed up?
Well, I think there's quite a few different areas. Energy, and I'll pass it over to Minister Lecce. He is, we have many strengths. Number one, our diversification, everyone working together. We say around the world, I spent a lot of time in Chicago, 6 degrees of separation. In Ontario, it's 1 degree of separation. That's why it works so well. It doesn't matter what political stripe you're from. You pick up the phone, you talk to the person, and we move forward. But what I'm hearing from around the world, from ambassadors, consul generals, our great neighbors, and I love our American friends south of the border, they want a couple things. They want to buy our critical minerals, which we have more than anywhere in the world, and PDAC, the mining conference, is the largest in the world, so we'll be seeing everyone from around the globe show up here. That's one. But our energy. We're leaders in the G7 when it comes to nuclear energy, no matter if it's building the SMRs or large-scale nuclear. But I'll pass it over to Minister Lecce, and he will tell you about what we're building, especially on the large scale and the SMRs.
So the Premier has been saying for many months that we need to end the duplication and get on with building. And I think part of this agreement that he has landed is really about securing a path to delivering the roads and ultimately delivering prosperity and more self-reliance for Canada. In the room today, you have some of the largest mining and energy companies who are present rallying behind this bank and this city. And the reason why they are here is because there's an intersection of the flow of capital with access to developing our responsible resources, the most ethical resources on earth. So limiting duplication and moving with speed is in the national interest for every Canadian worker, for every Canadian who believes in democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and the cleanest grid. Because the alternative, if it isn't us, it's China. It's other geopolitical adversaries who do not share our values. On the energy front, we're on the move. I mean, the world is fundamentally turning to Ontario. It was only weeks ago the government secured a deal to help administer 2 net new AP1000 technology in Bulgaria. It's our government that is supporting the nuclear refurbishment in Romania with Akin Realis CANDU technology. And of course, here at home, as the Premier mentioned, we are leading with the first SMR in the G7. We're not just building them in Ontario, we're helping to use our supply chain, 200 companies, tens of billions of dollars supporting Canadian businesses. The other thing that we're making a priority to the federal government is the desire or the need for them to double down on nuclear, which is a great Canadian industrial success story. And there is no path to self-reliance and energy security or to jobs unless we and the federal government work with us in good faith, as we've been doing to date, to support the delivery of large-scale nuclear in the province, which is estimated to add $200 billion to the national GDP. There is no project at scale in this nation that could add that type of job creation generationally for our children and grandchildren. So we look forward to them supporting us on this endeavour and, frankly, doubling down on the workers, on the unions who have backed this, on the environmental groups, and on the economic groups who have rallied behind the Premier's vision of building large-scale, generating the megawatts, and creating the jobs here at home.
Hi, it's Siobhan Morris, CTV News. I'm wondering what you have sort of on your wish list or hopes and expectations for the First Minister's call tomorrow.
Well, everyone is different right across from coast to coast to coast. We all have our concerns, but really I think it's the economy, making sure that there's certainty, because right now there's not certainty when you're dealing with President Trump. And that's just not Canada, that's the entire world. But again, we have to focus on diversifying our trade with other countries, which we're doing. The Prime Minister is doing a great job talking to other leaders around the world, making deals with other leaders. So that's what Ontario is going to focus on. We're going to focus on making sure that we do large-scale nuclear, like Minister Lecce said. Make sure we cut the red tape and the regulations till we get the shovels in the ground to get the minerals out of the ground. And a lot of those minerals are going to be used for our defense projects and companies that we have here, and communications and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm going to be focused on. I can't speak for the other premiers.
You had expressed some frustration before that you didn't feel that the Prime Minister was necessarily hitting Donald Trump back hard enough. Are you happy with, there's not really a retaliation happening at this moment? Is that continuing to be okay with you?
Yeah, some Prime Minister's doing a great job. Like I've said before, it's easy for me to sit back, and I'm probably the bad guy, and he's the good guy. But in saying that, he's sitting there negotiating across the desk or across the chair with them. But it's just my personal opinion. I have an incredible relationship with the Prime Minister, and I'm always going to support him when it comes to many things, but especially when it comes to trade with the United States. Let's not forget, folks, we're their number one customer, and vice versa. They're our number one customer, and we're their number one customer. So it's in the best interest to move forward. We proposed an AMCAN fortress, put a ring around the U.S. and Canada. No one could stop us with our energy, with our critical minerals, with our manufacturing might. We're better to work together. Protectionism does not work. And you just have to listen to Ronald Reagan, a couple of his speeches. Protectionism does not work. And 12.4 billion people heard that message.
Hi, Premier Jack Howan from the Trillium.
Hi, Jack.
Given the feds are on board, obviously, with removing duplications, is there still a need for special economic zones in the Ring of Fire or elsewhere?
Absolutely, because it moves things a lot quicker, and we have to cut out red tape and regulations. Every government, no matter if it's municipal, federal, or provincial, nothing gets in the way of progress more than red tape and regulations. We've cut over $1.2 billion of red tape, saved 1.8 million working hours that they can reallocate those people to another area that they can be more productive rather than filling out mounds and mounds of government paperwork. And I know everyone feels the same way. I know the mayor feels the same way. I know the prime minister feels the same way. I do. Every politician across the country. Let's get government out of the way. Let the private sector and the market dictate. And when they dictate, things move a lot quicker and a lot faster.
I also have to ask if anyone from the OPP has contacted your office, that of Minister Quinn, or anyone else, any other ministers regarding the Keel investigation.
No, not as far as I know. No. We're the ones who called them, by the way, just to let you know.
This will be the last reporter.
So on the Defence Bank, Tina Yazdani with City News. Premier, on the Defence Bank, what will Ontario taxpayers be expected to contribute upfront or long term to host the headquarters? And are there any security risks to hosting here in Toronto?
Well, what we're going to risk is losing billions and billions of dollars of investment. I look at an investment, and let's first win the bid, and then we'll talk about what investments we're going to have here. More than likely, we're going to invest in a beautiful new headquarters that are going to attract companies from all over the world and over 40 nations. So it's going to be an exciting opportunity to increase our GDP, not only here but around the country. And people don't realize Toronto is a powerhouse. Under the leadership of Mayor Chow, the GDP is 50% of Ontario's GDP is right here in Toronto. They're creating thousands and tens of thousands of jobs, and we're going to continue working with all people from all different political stripes.
And on an unrelated topic for my colleagues, Brampton's mayor is urging your government to take action as extortion-related crimes have increased dramatically in Peel Region. Will you commit to working with the federal government to establish a victim support fund?
Well, we're already working with the federal government. I know the RCMP has a task force along with their OPP, along with Peel. I was talking to Chief Nish the other day. I went to a community that's being affected. I spoke to them on the weekend. We're throwing every single resource we can to combat this, and a clear message. If you're trying to be extorted, call the police immediately. Hopefully we can track them down. They've arrested a number of people, not just here, out in BC, but I have all the faith in the world in our RCMP, our OPP, and all regional police services that have a specific task force to go after these people that are trying to extort Ontarians. And actually, they're extorting where they can, everywhere across Canada. But they'll be in jail. We'll catch them. We're going to throw them in jail.
This will be the last reporter.
Hi, it's Rob Ferguson from Toronto Star.
Hi,
I'm going
Rob.
to let the Premier take a breather, and Mr. Reid's been over there patiently waiting. So can I just double check? You said first quarter next year for the decision on which country will host. So, and what are the 12 anchor nations voting on that, and who are the 12 anchor nations? Canada's one, I assume.
Yeah, it's part of the charter negotiations, which is standard for any multilateral bank. There are some of those areas I covered: the charter, the treaties, the governance. One of them is which country will be the host nation. The other anchor nations, I would expect in early January there will be an announcement to come from the governments, all the governments. We're working through the schedule. We're working through the agenda for the charter negotiations. I think if you count the cards at the table, put it bluntly, that Canada stands out amongst our peers because of not only the initiatives and the support that Premier Ford and Ontario's put behind, but certainly our Prime Minister understands better than most world leaders what a multilateral bank can do on a multiplier effect for the economy. And so it's not certain, but I think we're in a good spot going into those negotiations, and I look forward to the Prime Minister having a lot more to say in early January on this.
All right, and what other major world cities are interested in this?
I think frankly, any nation would love to host this bank because of some of the reasons that were stated earlier from the members here and my comments. The view is that the Pacific region would like North America. The European view would be perhaps towards Canada because of certain discussions within NATO. And so I think we're at a moment in history here where if we put our hand up high and do it fast, we will see a coalition of those other nations that are about to start negotiations absolutely support Canada. Okay.
That concludes our press conference.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all the leadership in this room, leadership behind me. Folks, let's bring it home. Thank you. God bless the people of Canada. Thank you.